Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Attack on Dinosaur. Well, at least I would be, if the dinosaurs ever actually showed up in this anime. But believe it or not, despite the many disappointments I had with this anime, the lack of Dino Titans was not one of them. The lack of giant whale titans was one. So Attack on Titan Season 2 has been a rough ride. As a fan of Season 1, I really wanted this season to be good. On one hand, the latter half of the season was action-packed and full of great development, just what I wanted. On the other, the first half of the season was extremely poorly written. First of all, don't expect the world to be well-built or realistic. After all, there are absolutely no men ever guarding the wall, as the entire ordeal within the first few episodes revolves around them trying to find a hole in the wall. Even though there should be men constantly guarding the wall, in case of a surprise Titan invasion. And if there weren't men guarding the wall, then that would mean that they probably thought it was impossible for the Titans to break through the wall in the first place. Which would mean that their first thoughts shouldn't have been that the Titans just broke straight through the wall with a huge hole, because that would have been impossible in their minds. Speaking of people, the only men you actually get to see this season are those from the Recon Corps, or small divisions from the Royal Guardsmen or whatever. I kind of just forget the name because it doesn't even matter. I personally like to believe that everyone else has been wiped out by some sort of plague or meteor shower. The plot progresses this season so messily that it's actually certainly possible, but I'll cover that later. So, for the first time this season, we actually get to explore the land outside of the enclosed town districts, and it isn't really what you'd expect. Do you remember that food shortage from Season 1? Well, rest assured, it actually makes perfect sense, considering there is absolutely no farmland present at all. So of course you wouldn't be able to get food. You'd imagine that inside the walls, with such a limited space that humans have, there would be loads of farms and towns. But you're wrong. There are no towns or cities. And the only places that we do see are remote villages for some reason. And in addition, the only time farmland is actually addressed is when Sasha's forest is going to be destroyed and replaced with farmland, because apparently no one can use the wide open fields with absolutely nothing on them. Speaking of Sasha, prepare for, this season, a bunch of random background character backstories to be thrown in for no reason. I watched the entire second season twice, and I still don't know what the purpose of Sasha's backstory was. And I don't know why an entire episode was dedicated just to focus on her. Actually, to be honest, I don't even know why Sasha exists as a character. The constantly eating gimmick isn't even funny. So I've heard a lot of people actually talk about, that they enjoyed the fact that more background characters were focused on this season, mostly because they hate Eren as a protagonist. First of all, I'd just like to say, to those types of people, I recommend you abandon the show altogether, because Eren will never develop as a protagonist. He's still the same guy in Season 2. He has received no character development, as far as I could tell. He's still the same kill all Titans person that he was in the first season. The side characters aren't any better though. If you expect proper character development, suspense, gradually building up towards climactic scenes full of emotion, then throw your dreams out the window. Character development is done almost exclusively through flashbacks, and those flashbacks happen right during the most important reveals and climactic scenes they could possibly manage. There are quite a few times where entire scenes will be ruined by a disruptive flashback or a 12 hours ago message because the writer seemingly forgot to develop characters or information leading up to those scenes. Reveals lack any subtlety or suspense in the show. They throw information at you in an extremely rushed and disorderly fashion. Also, you end up feeling nothing towards the side characters because the only time they're developed is through very unoriginal events like a flashback to training camp where two girls got lost in a blizzard. because you definitely haven't heard of something like that before. Oh, by the way, for all of you who took an interest in that one background character, Annie, someone who was quite important in the first season, well, forget about her, because they do nothing with her the entire season, and they just ditch her. Same state as the first season. So yeah, for the first 6 episodes, the story is a complete mess. There's a concerning absence of people in the universe, and the flow of the story has killed all momentum. Don't expect any of the good aspects of Season 1 to be present. Now, as for the rest of the season, well, it gets a lot better. Suddenly, the authors remember how to do unobtrusive flashbacks and character development. The characters are cool, and a lot of the nice aspects from Season 1 are able to be seen, along with a new mix of more fleshed out side characters. If only we got to see more of Captain Irwin, who is arguably the best, or at least the coolest character in the show. In addition, the art is upgraded a lot from Season 1. There have been some great action sequences and general shots in the show. There are certain YouTubers, like that guy, Gijik, whatever, who have covered more of the good aspects, like Titans being more scary, actual plot progression, actual Titan fights, and yeah. But this is the negative review, so I'm going to politely ignore covering any of that extensively. Anyway, as for the sound, the opening isn't actually good, just want to clarify that fact, though you do get used to it after a while, which means it isn't actually a good song. The ending, which I accidentally ended up listening to when I forgot to click onto the next episode, was terrible. The regular soundtrack was as cool as usual. Some of the songs just repeated from the first season, but whatever. So in the end, the beginning half is a poorly written mess, while the latter half of the season at least gives us the action we were all waiting for, and improves upon the show. All in all, I think this season of Attack on Titan can be summarized in this one clip.